Morning, everyone. We're about to begin our Mishna of the day, the final one of the week, and we are picking up from where we left yesterday. But let me first go through our list of dedications. We wish long life to all those that have Yortzeit today, and we were dedicating the learning in memory of the following: Reuven ben Baruch, Yechiel ben Shimshon Halevi Son, Moshe ben Abraham Selby, Miriam bas Avram Bauman, Nechama bas Aaron, Binyamin ben Wolf Hirsch, Lei ben Dov Beryl Lipman, as well as those which have passed away during the COVID: Leah bas Bible, Sibia bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shlomo ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer ben Shmuel Teret, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Zipporah Fegela bas Reuven Baruch, Shalom ben Eli Ali, Baina bas Feivel, and Fruma Shoshana bas Yaakov Shmuel. We wish each and every one of the respective families long life and only simchas in the years ahead. Well, today we pick up, as I said, from where we left off yesterday. Wonderful to have so many of you with us. It's so special to be able to learn as we go through all the fascinating ideas about character development in terms, and it certainly makes an impression and enriches our lives. Let's pick up where we were. So the final concept we were discussing, which comes from Yeshua ben Prachia, well, he said that you should acquire yourself a good friend and you should make for yourself a teacher. And then he said, and we didn't have time to deal with this, Hevedan es kol ha'adam lekavschus, which literally means judging every person favorably, right? And let me tell you a little story which I saw on Facebook yesterday. It was a video, because one of the things that is ironic in this whole social unrest in America that has spread around the world as a result of a tragedy, and we are the first to condemn discrimination and racism. But one of the stories that I saw, there was some graffiti on a building, and there was some white ladies that had decided to try to clear up after the riot, and they were trying to scrub off the graffiti on the wall. And a black lady was driving past, and she saw them scrubbing off Black Lives Matter, and she took issue with it, and she said to them, why are you washing that away? Why are you scrubbing that off the building? And they said, well, because there's graffiti from the riot and we're just trying to clean up the neighborhood. And she says, so Black lives don't matter to you? They were taken aback and they said, what are you talking about? Of course Black lives matter to us, but that's got nothing to do with what we are doing here. Black lives do matter, but that doesn't mean that we have to have it on the side of our building. And she says, no, it means more to you, that building, than Black lives. And she walked off, cursing. And it is so telling the way everyone is judging everyone else and jumping on assumptions. And that is precisely what our Mishnah is discussing, our final part of yesterday's Mishnah, that you're meant to judge everyone favorably. And the words are as follows: Hevedan es kol ha'adam, to judge it literally means the whole person favorably. And that means that in reality, can I ever judge you? Can I ever judge you? The answer is that I can never truly understand the whole person, right? And therefore, I don't think that we can truly ever judge people to discredit them in any way, because we have to take into account the whole totality of that person. Do we actually know what's going on in other people's lives? Do we actually know every thought, motivation, right, that goes through people's heads? The answer is no. So it is so wrong to make assumptions, and it is spiraling completely out of control. I have to say, from my perspective, and of course you'll hear more about this on Monday night in our panel discussion with other communal leaders from across the community, but from my perspective, I think the family themselves have acted admirably and have been dignified throughout. But others have jumped to certain conclusions and made assumptions. And as a result of that, things have spiraled out of control. So both sides, everyone is jumping to conclusions. We all sometimes judge other people or make assumptions about other people. And therefore, that is perhaps one of the lessons to be learned from the current climate and from the current Mishnah that we are learning. So we wish that hopefully this lesson of our Mishnah will be taken on board by the whole of society to create a fairer and a more kind society. We carry on to the next Mishnah, which is today's Mishnah, actually, and it says as follows. He says, Nitai Harbeli Omer, unusual name, Hachek Mishachen Ra, that we should distance ourselves from a Shachen Ra, is a bad or wicked neighbor. Then he says, Va'atis Chaber Rasha, and you should not associate or attach yourself to a wicked person. Va'atis Yaesh Minar Poranios, and do not give up on the idea of culpability or punishment. So let's try and understand this, friends. What this is saying, right, is that we are we believe strongly in our society that, you know, we have to be open and accepting, and we cannot close ourselves off in any shape or form. Well, I'm afraid to say that may be blue sky thinking, that may very well be rose-tinted glasses thinking. That is not reality on the ground. For much of our history, we did not have a choice. We found ourselves shut away by the Pale, by the ghettos, right, by the shtetls. It wasn't our doing. It was the discrimination that we suffered from as being Jews, and they didn't want us as part of the main settlement. And that stood us in good stead in that our values and the way that we lead our life, we were able to keep to ourselves. But the advantage, of course, is now that we are in a more open society, we live amongst our non-Jewish neighbors, our Jewish neighbors, we're able to have an influence, have an impact, be a positive force for good in the world and in our neighborhood. But we have to recognize that not everyone has the same priorities and values in life as our own. And therefore we have to be a bit protective of ourselves and ensure that we have a bit of social distancing, dare I say it, when it comes to obviously not who we live next to, because, you know, we thank God we're privileged to live in a fantastic neighborhood and everyone is well, but the people that we associate ourselves with. If we find ourselves in a position where there are people that are they may be perhaps more negative than ourselves, they may be conversations that are lewd or inappropriate, or, you know, then we have to make sure that ourselves and our families are protected, right? It doesn't have to be the fact that everything does not have to be in the public eye, in the public gaze. We should be able to insulate, not isolate, but insulate ourselves and our families from the bad influences. And I do say to parents that are listening, or even grandparents that are listening, we should be putting filters on our computers and on our devices. I don't care how old the kids are, how old our teenagers are, because that is certainly a shachen ra. That's a bad neighbor if we think about what is available, accessible on the World Wide Web, and therefore it's certainly something that we should protect ourselves from. So living in an open neighborhood, beautiful neighborhood, Woodside Park, Finchley, Totteridge, wherever you are when you're watching this, is beautiful. It's lovely. Fine neighbors, beautiful neighborhood. But there are influences out there. There are things that are going on in the world which we would want to protect ourselves and our families from. And therefore we should be aware of it. And we should make sure that we take precautions to ensure social distancing from any bad influences that could affect and impact us adversely. And the point is, we should know that the fact that we see wrong in the world, says the Mishnah, we shouldn't think that it's going to not be, there are no repercussions, there are no consequences. We should recognize that the fact that we may see in the short term people getting away with things, doing what's wrong, and nobody picks up on it, we shouldn't give up on doing the right thing. We should know that there is yesh din v'yesh dayan. There is a judge, there is a justice, and there is retribution. The Almighty knows exactly what we are doing, what other people are doing, and if the civil courts and the system of justice here does not bring them to justice and to answer for their mistakes and for their wrongdoing, the Almighty ultimately certainly will. So therefore, we should be careful, says this Mishnah, about the influences around us to ensure that we give ourselves the very best start to our day and to our lives, and make sure that the environment that we have, that we create, is the very best possible. So we are meant to be that light to the nations. And of course, if we want, there is a famous saying about a man that came to the Rebbe, and he says, I tried to change the world, and I realized I couldn't change the world. So I tried to change my town. And I realized after a while that I wasn't succeeding in changing my town. So then I thought I would try to change my family. And then he said, I realized I couldn't change my family. So at long last, I gave up on that. And I said I would just try to work on improving myself. If we want to bring about change in the world, everyone thinks we've got to go out there with placards and with signs and shout from the rooftops and have campaigns. It starts and stops with us, friends. If we are willing to show, to lead by example, to be that light to the nations in our own lives and with our family lives, little by little, that light will push away the darkness. If we make sure that wherever we are, whatever conversations we hear, that people are respectful to other people of different faiths, of different colors, skins, of different backgrounds, and we lead by example, that will spread throughout society. So we have to make sure that we set an example, we inspire those around us, and please God, that will ensure that we bring this world to peace and its rightful conclusion. So now we continue with the Psalm of the day, Psalm 23, in which we hope and pray for an end of the virus and for peace in the world at large, and understanding and mutual respect. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life. Now I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. We now conclude this part with a memorial prayer. We wish long life to all those that have yortzeit or that would be saying Kaddish for their loved ones today. Reb Reuven ben Baruch, Yechiel ben Shimshon Alevi son, Moshe ben Avram Selby, Miriam bas Avram Bauman, Nachama bas Aaron, Binyamin ben Wolf Hirsch, Lei ben Dov Beryl Libman, Leah bas Bible, Tzivia bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shlomo ben Yisrom, Morris, Eliezer ben Shmuel Teret, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Tzipora Begela bas Reuven Baruch, Shalom ben Eli Ali, Beina bas Bible, from Moshe Shana bas Yaakov Shmuel, Shalchu Liolamam, Began Edem Te Menuchasom Lachim Balarachamim, Yasi Rein Beseza Kanafam Balamim, Viesrobot Chaim Shma Samadina Nachlasam, Vianuchu Bishlomish Gavam, and Amar Amen. We conclude, friends, with a memorial, with a refuah shalema prayer for all those that are unwell in our community and beyond. We'll have a pause for silence so you can insert the names. Misha Berach, Avaseinu Avram Yisrael Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Rapes Achaylim. Ba'av Oshanu Mispalim Bavoram Bischos HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachim Aleihem Lachmol Lefosam Bishlach Leim Afushim Manishmaim Lechol Reim Basoch Shachol Yisrael Refuas HaNefesh Refuas HaGuf Hashavagaz Makariv Venamar Amen. Wish everyone well. They wish those that have yortzeit long life. And we look forward, please God, in seeing everyone a bit later on, 6:45. Get ready for a singing and dancing Kabbalat Shabbat with the Hackenbrock family, the first one that we are doing. And looking forward to seeing everyone there. Shabbat Shalom. Take care. Have a great day.